Good evening. I believe we are live. Come one, come all. We now have our live stream on Friday evenings at 8 p.m. and I hope that works better for most of you, just so we can update you on whatever's happening with the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill and other related items. This is our last live stream for 2025, and what a year it's been. The 17th of December marked 1 year, didn't it, Michelle, of 1 year since this bill was introduced into Parliament.
It did. It's been a very interesting year because they had believed they'd have it all done and dusted and through by Easter. And obviously we're now December and they're now talking possibly next Easter for royal assent. You know, you can never say exactly what's going to happen in the life of a bill. And we're certainly not finished in trying to push back and against the bill and get it withdrawn or paused or substantially amended so that it looks a lot better. It already looks better than it did 17th of December last year, but it's still got a lot of nasty in there.
Yes, and I just want to say well done to everyone who has really pushed, who've written to MPs, who've attended protests, who have posted stuff online. Well done to you, because it has made a difference. Maybe not a huge difference that we can see at the moment, but there has been a shift, a considerable shift in some ways in attitudes and hearts and minds of MPs and Lords. We find it's not so overwhelmingly in agreement with the bill as what it was initially. So these conversations that you're having with your MPs is making a difference. Just making them aware that we're not happy makes a difference. So continue to keep up the pressure. We did have some fun. I know, Michelle, you had some fun things happening on the 17th to kind of mark the occasion. I think you will find some of that on the Stop the Children's Wellbeing in Schools Bill page. Am I right? Yeah.
Yes, and I know particularly people seem to enjoy the anniversary birthday cake.
Yes, go and check out the video on the anniversary birthday cake and share that at your, just wherever you want to. It's just a bit of fun, and maybe it will give you a little bit of a laugh. So,
and when we say attitudes are shifting, it is something people can see for themselves. Now, for some people, we've seen it where they've engaged with MPs over a while. They now see a different tone to the letters coming. But even if you look at what are questions being asked of ministers in the formal way they do, where they write a letter and it gets put out and then it has to be answered, we're now even getting Labour MPs asking questions directly about this bill, which if you go back to January, February, March time, that wasn't something you would see. In fact, we were struggling to get other party MPs to ask questions.
Yeah, that was a brick wall of solidarity, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. But now we are seeing those cracks appearing, and we're seeing them not even keeping these questions in private behind closed doors, which they could do. They absolutely could just discuss it with their colleagues. They are putting them on the formal record so that other people can see them and then highlight them to their MPs to then amplify that voice. And that's a very, very important shift as we come into these last stages of the bill.
Yes, I hope you'll feel encouraged that your work has not gone unrewarded. Don't give up yet. Keep nagging. Keep on with the barrage to your MPs, because we still have another stage. We have other stages coming up, which we will discuss, and there may be opportunity for more challenge to the bill. So don't give up yet. So we're going to start off tonight just talking about a freedom of information request that's been made. We've actually had a few that have been made, and that gives us some information that is quite helpful. Okay, so Michelle, do you want to talk a little bit about these?
Yeah, so this one came up by Miss Stark, and it's received a reply today, and it reminded me then of some other ones. One that I did myself very early on in the process, and then another one that I think someone called Gudrun did sort of midway through the process. It highlights one thing: the Dear Fear anything but consistent. But one of the important bits here is this was asking about, because we keep getting ministers and MPs quoting that home educating families are being consulted, their voices are being factored in. So this clarified that 9 families were accepted to participate in the forum.
So just please clarify what the forum is.
This is the Children Not in Schools Bill Implementation Forum. So early on in the process, before the bill was announced, there was like an application form circulated for people who wanted to participate in this forum to influence. Now, it didn't say at the time that you'd only get let in if you met certain criteria. We now know there was a lot of criteria that excluded a lot of home educating families. Basically, if you didn't agree with if you didn't agree with it absolutely being implemented, you sort of didn't make the cut.
So it says on this one, 107 families applied.
Yeah, and I know I applied as an individual, and I was not successful as an individual.
Me too.
I'm lucky that I happen to also have the policy hat in educational freedom, so I got one of the organisation slots. But my personal, as a home educating parent, I was not successful, and I know many other people were not successful. So this is good to know. Those 107 families applied. Now we do want to sort of check if that's right, because I know the amount of people who gave me the indication they applied, I would expected that to be higher. But even so, 9 families out of 107 is a tiny amount. And then if you think of the amount of home educators there are, that, you know, it gets really, really tiny when you're thinking about trying to understand.
Well, I see it says here the department does not have a stated limit for membership of the forum. So they could have taken more people.
But this is where you need to then look at the earlier FOIs. So in my FOI, when I asked for it, so I don't know if we've got my FOI there, I'd asked about the breakdown. And in this one, they actually said that there were 9 spaces for home educating families. So, but they also said there wasn't a limit to membership. They also said there wasn't a limit, but they said there are 9 spaces for home educating families on the forum and a further 5 from relevant organisations. And the sister forum, there are 6 members currently. So that implies the sister forum had room to grow. But this says there are 9 spaces. So not we've filled 9 spaces, not we have more. It seems that December last year, I'd forgotten how early I asked this. December last year, there was only 9 spaces for home educating families. And the new FOI has got 9 spaces. But the new FOI, they can't even confirm if any of these 9 families are actively home educating or currently home educating. And apparently have no mechanism. They don't ask, they don't check that the people who are...
Yes, that's given as the criteria. So the reasons for application being excluded, the applicant wasn't a home educator. So surely they must have been asking in some way.
Yes, but that only means that when they started the forum...
so they may have stopped home educating,
that they checked then. But they haven't. Then now they don't know if people are still home educating. Apparently, they have no mechanism. They don't.
And 9 is such a tiny number because it's not going to be truly representative of, all the different facets of home education, is it?
Yeah. And if you remember on my FOI, they confirmed there was the home educating families, there was the home education organisations, and there was the sister forum part of safeguarding and education professionals, which we haven't had a proper breakdown of that. Now, Gudrun, in I think it was either July or August, so like 8 months later, when she asked, they've intentionally interpreted it without including any of that sister forum. So they've not included anyone from the sister forums, the safeguarding on educational professionals. So they have let us know who the 5 organisations are. You can see Educational Freedom, which is me sitting on them. And again, but here it's 9 currently home educating families. But then in Miss Stark's FOI, they have no mechanism of knowing if anyone's still currently. So are they sure when they gave us that result in August they are currently home educating?
Yeah, there we go.
If they were asking then, why are they not asking now? It's a tiny amount that you need to ensure they are still currently, because surely nothing.
And we also don't know if these are people who have literally just come out of the school system and they're still struggling. Is it representative of, your more experienced home educators, your unschoolers, or are these people where the children were being failed by the system and it's still a bit raw and painful? We don't really know if they are properly representing the views, and it's unfair to expect them to, because each one has their own experience.
And there's 9 in total.
I'm hoping at least the educational the home ed organizations may have been able to sort of give more input and make up for some of that. I mean, one thing we know in this country is that there's such diversity that There are many home educators who do not see themselves as being represented by this group or that group.
Yeah, but it's also quite worrying that they're not ensuring that there are current home educators there in the group, particularly when the feedback and MPs and people have seen in their MP letters are quoting, and people have checked, do you mean the implementation forum when you're talking about your factoring in views?
Yeah.
But they can't even say, as they have said in Miss Stark's one, if they are even currently home educating now, yet they're being used by the system to say, well, we're factoring in their views now, but they don't even know if they are home educating.
So one can obviously then reply to, if your MP says that home educators are being consulted, you can say, oh, do you mean the 9 families, which does not begin to represent the entire population of home educators?
But you can go further than that. You can say the 9 families that the DfE doesn't even know if they are currently home educating, and you can literally attach Miss Stark's FOI because they've admitted they have no idea.
So for those who want to continue and are able to continue engaging with your MPs, this is something that you can use to keep that conversation going and to highlight just how little consultation there has been on any of the measures in this bill. I think this was particularly to do with children not in school registers. Really they needed to talk to more people, a lot more people.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the consultations that they've held in the past overwhelmingly showed that people were against a register. So I suppose maybe they just thought, well, we're just going to ignore that bit of evidence and we'll...
Yeah, because Josh McAllister has referred to the 2019 consultation where 75% of responses were against the register, but they missed the bit out that says 75%. The result was 75% were against. Now, the majority of local authority responses, but still not all, the majority of local authority responses were for the register. However, the majority of those who are affected directly by the register in their life, so home educating families, parents, children, the majority of them were against the register. And again, schools were for the register, but schools are not home educating.
So I think let's move on to the next topic, which is the running list of all amendments. So the bits that we are looking at, it is the clauses that are specific to us, which is what, clause 31 and onwards. Is that right, Michelle?
Yes, but obviously we also need to remember sort of clause 4, which is the unique identifier, which affects everyone. Obviously, if you're interested in social care, there's all the first section. So we're focusing on the bits that affect home educators the most. So they are from clause 31 onwards.
Is there anything that we need to take note of at the moment? Have you been able to keep up to date with these?
There's a few in there. Baroness Barron has suggested an amendment that would significantly reduce the burden of the bureaucracy and amount of information being collated. So that would be welcome if that goes anywhere. There are some worrying things in there. So there's been ones about restricting VPNs, restricting phones. There's a really wide amount of amendments going in. There's been some really good ones in the first half about kinship care allowances and support that I know would be welcomed. But remember, they're only amendments at this stage. But then there's also been Baroness Barron, in one hand, let's reduce the burden. In the next hand, let's add consent to child in need section 17. So it's a real mixed bag of what's coming through. I'm still expecting a lot more to come through because we've got quite a while till the first. And normally it's until, I think it's 2 days before the day that the clause is being covered, they can still submit amendments. There's plenty of time before I would expect to see the members of the House of Lords who are thinking very carefully how to word amendments to support our position, putting their amendments in. So there's still quite some time, which means, again, everyone should have a glance over it, because if you feel strongly about some amendments, there's no harm in writing to some members of the House of Lords saying what you want the amendment to be, but you just have to be very specific and you need to be very brief. They haven't got the time to read loads. They haven't got the staff the way MPs have. So you need to be clear about why that amendment needs to happen. And you need to be very specific, like this line in the bill needs to have this added or needs to have this taken out because boom, boom, boom. to get it put through.
I think it is sometimes hard to read because you have to kind of read it with the bill as well next to you, and you kind of have to compare. But it is important.
Yep.
And I think that's what we really need to know, is that this is important. And then we have had an update that, we've been talking about for some time about the different stages of the bill, and we now have dates for the report stage. So when the bill was in the House of Commons, there was a House of Commons, and then they had a report stage, and that was over very quickly. The report in the Lords is different, which is what Fiona Nicholson is explaining here in her article on her Ed Yourself page. So they've been given 5 days from mid-January to early February. We may see an extra day added because the number of days for report is half the number of days in committees. And committee took 12 days, so we really are entitled to 6 days in report stage. And if you go and read Fiona's article, it explains everything in quite some detail, which will hopefully help you understand the process. So do go and take the time to understand that. But these dates are happening in January and February at the moment. Do we have a list of them anywhere?
There is a list actually on her page.
Yes.
The first date is the 14th.
Yes.
I know that because it's just before the protest. The second date is the 19th.
There we go.
I know that because it's immediately after the protest.
We will come back to the protest in a bit, because the protest that Michelle is planning, and we are really, really, really hoping it will be huge, really hoping you will all get there. That is going to be right in the middle of this report stage. So if we have enough people, it could be really impactful, because we want to get it into the media. And we need people to see, we need politicians to see the strength of feeling. So we're really going to need that, but we'll come back to that shortly. You can go and read Fiona's very, very detailed description of what to expect. Why do we need to know this? So that we understand it. And knowledge is power. So go and have a look at Fiona's article, and just remember that all links are shared in the Substack, which you can subscribe to receive into your inbox, that you've got all the links of what we discuss tonight. So,
and I would expect to get a government's list of amendments coming out early January.
Yes,
now, they may not do that, but if they have been listening and listened through committee stage, because it works very differently in the House of Lords and things like that, if they have listened, there's this thing like they don't want the other side to have the last say. So if they've listened and it looks like an amendment may get enough numbers to push it through, they may make their own version in their
to take the credit for that idea,
so that it can go through worded how they want it worded, rather than another side put through that amendment that actually everyone celebrates. So I would expect to see that early. I wouldn't expect to see it this side of Christmas. I'd expect to see it probably about the week before the report stage starts. So I'd expecting to see it around about the 6th or 7th of January. Doesn't mean they will, but if they have been listening, I would expect a separate thing, which is called the government amendments, through for them to sort of like let go through.
So this is the next big stage of the bill. And we've been waiting on these dates for a long time, and thankfully we didn't have them hit before Christmas. But we will be coming back to them in January. We cannot let up putting pressure on MPs and Lords yet. So we've had a question about the private members' bills that have had second readings in the session, indicating which of those begun the committee stages. Now, you may remember there is another bill that's been floating about in the background. Mainly they're in the background because it's not a Labour bill, and that is Lord Story's bill. Am I right? He's not Labour, is he? And this is called the Homeschool Education, Registration and Support Bill, and that is kind of stuck in limbo land at the moment because it's not a government bill, and obviously the government favour their own bill and have no interest in promoting this one. So it's just, as I say, sitting in limbo land. You got anything you want to add about that, Michelle?
No, and it's just people need to sort of be aware that bills don't magically disappear off the government website. So you can go and search for many bills that will just have like ended randomly at a certain point because a parliamentary session will have finished, or because government priorities have overruled and they control the timetable in the House of Commons. So it's not unusual for there to be lots of bills in the background that could potentially do something that just aren't going anywhere and will not go anywhere because of other parliamentary conventions. So although it's mentioned here, it's not something to sort of like keep your eyes on, worry about or anything like that, because where it got to was only the third reading in committee stage. In that one started in the House of Lords. Now the parliamentary session is due to complete, I think it's May. So they would have to decide that this had a bigger priority than the home education part in the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill. But this pretty much does what the Children Not in School Register would do. So the government are not going to favour a Lib Dem member of the House of Lords private bill over their own. And so at the end of the parliamentary session, if it's not gone any further, it effectively doesn't exist, although you'll still be able to find it on the system at the point it's reached. So it's had its second reading. It had its first reading, had its second reading, and it's just been stalled from second reading.
It just doesn't get put on the calendar for further attention, that's all. And it just sits there. Yeah.
And then it can't be put on the calendar once the session officially ends.
Yeah.
So although it reached that stage, when the parliamentary session officially ends, and I believe it's May, then it can't go anywhere because it's a private member's bill. Where a government bill, there's special rules and they can do a special motion. But members' bills are just gone.
Yeah, and it's good to know about it because every now and again somebody says, oh, did you know there's this other bill? Just so you know, there is this other bill, but it's in a holding pattern, not going anywhere at the moment. So some of you may have seen this article, which is about the proposed government's digital ID. Some people that have been working on the system and so on have just found some of the vulnerabilities and have shared that with RTV News. So that's pretty big. And something also, once again, to highlight to MPs, if you're writing to them separately as well about digital ID, just to say, look, I don't trust it and I don't think anyone should trust it, because if you're signed up to it, then basically, all your information can be controlled. So that's quite a good article to hang on to if you are opposed to the digital ID. And just bear in mind that children would be given a consistent identifier. And where do they keep this information? They keep it on a system. And these systems are vulnerable. They all have a vulnerability. There's no 100% secure system. And the government's response to this has been, oh, but, we take it very seriously, and, all the blah, blah that they believe themselves after a while. These systems are vulnerable. None of them is perfect. So if our children's data is in a system like that, there's also a possibility it can be leaked or hacked or compromised. Okay, I hope everyone knows about our fundraiser, which is for the 17th of January protest, which we will be talking about in a minute. We are really trying to raise a good sum of money to fund our staging and professional equipment, sound, banners, merchandise, things that we can hand out to people to raise awareness of the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill. Remember that this protest is not just about home education. It's for anyone that is opposed to this bill. And so we need a big presence, and we really ask you just to share and get as many people as you can to contribute or to attend the protest. If you are someone that would love to attend the protest but you can't, you might want to consider just donating a $5 or whatever to the expenses to support it in your own way. Please, every little bit helps. We appreciate that. So then we have the protest itself happening on the 17th of January. This is in London on a Saturday. Plan now to be there. Have a backup plan for getting there if something goes wrong with transport. Be prepared. Make sure you get there early so that if there's transport issues, you're not going to miss out. It's so important to be there. It will be cold. Make sure you're warm. You might get hungry. Bring food. But we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to have some great speakers to stir us up and to really inspire us. And so a plan to be there. I think, what time does it start? Is it 12, Michelle?
Right, so we're marching sharp at 1 p.m. from Russell Square. The police are aware that between 12 and 1 we'll be assembling, getting ourselves sorted, because obviously we're wanting it to be big. and we want to make an impression and march down the roads from Russell Square all the way down to Whitehall. The stage will be set up next to Richmond Terrace on Whitehall, where we will then have the rally part. So the rally part will start at 2. The march will leave promptly at 1 p.m. So we need you there before 1 p.m. so we can leave promptly at 1 p.m. And as I said, the police are fully aware and expecting us to be there from 12 o'clock. Getting ourselves all sorted with our placards, getting ourselves in order so that we can then march at a very slow pace. And the rally starts at 2 o'clock. We have an hour to make it from Russell Square to Whitehall. Normal walking, you'd normally do that in 25 minutes. So we've allowed an hour because obviously march walking and chanting is much slower. And we are aware that this is family friendly and there are lots of little feet. And I know when we did our protest to the Senedd in Wales, some of the little feet did struggle to keep up. So we're very keen to ensure that there's plenty of time so we won't have anyone left behind this time, that everyone can march in unity together, because children deserve better. And this bill is not the solution to children's well-being.
Yes, and this is a family-friendly protest. As I said, there are a lot of fun, and your children get to experience the political process, engaging with the political protests firsthand. They can design their own banners that with their own unique flavor, and this is just a really wonderful opportunity for them to experience that activism. See it as an educational opportunity. Going to London is always fun. Some might find it a bit overwhelming and overstimulating, but you will be amongst friends, and we promise to walk with you and support you as well if you need it.
And I know a few people have already organised. A few people have already organised some little minibus loads coming down. And I know some people are organising groups of them coming up on the train. And I believe if you go as a group of more than 10 people, you can actually get the group discount on the trains as well. So, make it a fun day out. If you're coming from outside of London, get all of your local homemade group and other parents to join together and come and enjoy London for the day.
And another good reason to come early is just to avoid stress, to make sure you've got transport. Well, I also want to mention that the Stop the Schools Bill, it's called the Stop the Schools Bill car, but it just doesn't have the full name of the bill on it. But that the little yellow car, it's going to be making its way down to London, isn't it, Michelle?
It is, and it will be part of the march. We're in negotiations at where in the march it fits, because obviously we need to ensure that we don't accidentally run over any of the marchers. So it's really important that we have it in the right position so that it's visible and people can see it, and we can have the speakers on with the annoying Scrap the Schools Bill tone.
Oh, we can have our song. We can have our protest song.
Actually, yes, we can put our protest song through the car. Yes,
maybe we can do that. So let's figure that one out. But the car will be making its way down to London. Alison is looking for some people to help her along the way, because its electric car can only drive for so long and then needs to be charged. So she will need some offers of tea and coffee, or a place to relax along the way. So contact Alison Sauer if you're able to help with that as well. And also, if you spot the car, be sure to take a picture and post it on social media. That's quite exciting as well, and it will be lovely to have the car with us.
Yeah.
So 17th of January in your diaries now, and book those trains or whatever. Make your plans. Michelle, what's your other thing you want to add?
And the other bit is, if you're thinking, for your own family circumstances, you can't march that distance, you can just come for the rally part. So the rally starts at 2 p.m. So we absolutely want as many boots on the ground as we can for the protest march. However, we know that that's not feasible for some people. So you can just come for the rally, in which case you head straight to Whitehall. The stage will be there by Richmond Terrace, and you can wait for everyone to arrive and enjoy the rally as well. We don't want anyone to feel excluded. This bill affects all children. It's forgotten their voice. It's not about well-being, even though that's in the title. And we want everyone to be able to have their voice heard and to be able to make a stand united. So if the march is the only bit that makes you think, I just can't do that distance, fine, just meet us for the rally. But
Exactly.
also you can join us halfway down the route. That's not a problem. There's no issues with that. But we don't give the exact route till right near the time, because obviously we need to keep everyone safe.
Yes. And remember the fundraiser for this event. It's Christmas, people. It's Christmas. Make Michelle's Christmas fantastic by giving her a $5 for Christmas, for all the hard work she puts in, all the hours and hours that she puts into planning these events. Let's just really let's say bless her little socks off with this fundraiser, and help to cover these costs, because she's covered a lot of costs personally so far. And to save her marriage, give her lots of money so that we can.
I don't want to be. I don't want to have to explain more. More money borrowed for more protests to my husband again.
So please, let's it's buy Michelle a coffee, $5 to the fundraiser, and you will make a lot of things possible, and it will make such a difference. So thank you very much. And all the links will be available to this, hopefully in the comments. We'll have to sort that out. Okay, next up is just a reminder that Joy Baker, that pioneering home educating mum who had to find her local authority, her book is now available. It's been reprinted for the first time since 1964, plus a couple of companion books about the family's life. But Children in Chancery is the one about her battle with the local authority. I believe this should be on the bookshelf of every home educator in the UK, to understand just how important it is to stand your ground. It is available on Amazon, so you can go and have a look. Children in Chancery by Joy Baker. You should be able to get it, I think, Amazon Prime, and you can put it on your Christmas list. Let somebody in your family know quickly to order it for you for Christmas if you're not going to get it yourself. But I believe every family should have a copy of this book. So I just want to remind you about that. Okay, and next up we have an article that was, what was this one again?
It's Children and Young People Now.
Children and Young People Now.
It's one of these publications that's kind of similar to Skills Week and tests and things. It's all based on sort of the children's services area.
Yes, so it's
basically they just want to highlight that in order to enact what they would like from the Children's Wellbeing and Skills Bill, they're going to need a fair bit of money to meet those needs.
Yes, it's highlighting what strain and stress this is going to put on local authorities to tighten oversight with a proposed statutory register of children not in school. I know for certain in our local authority where our EHE officer works part-time flexi time, there's no way that she would cope with the requirements of this bill. They are raising awareness about this and making people aware of what the cost will be. Articles like this are good to share with your MPs as well, just to make them, is the government actually able to fund it? It looks like a good article, actually.
The other important bit to note, and it has been highlighted to the NSPCC, they never actually involved home educating families to find out their perspectives of how the EHE officer works with them, but they've made like an arbitrary decision that this amount is the average, and so therefore in this local authority it's bad and in this local authority it's good. Now I know from our stuff with Educational Freedom, some local authorities that have a very, very high amount of home educators, but very, very low amount of EHE staff, actually work fantastically with their communities. I also know of other areas where the local authority officer has the average amount of home educating families, and they are treated in a horrendous way and oppressed. So the NSPCC, they missed out that stage, and they intentionally chose to miss that stage out. It has been raised to them that just saying that amount of officers to that amount of home educating families equals can or can't is incorrect. You needed to take on board, well, actually, what's the experience of whether they feel supported, whether they feel that their home ed officer is providing what's required. Well, so it does highlight the inconsistency, but it doesn't factor in the lived real experience of those on the ground.
it mentions something. This independent safeguarding child protection consultant, Anne-Marie Christian, said she has noticed a rise in job adverts, but no consistent job description. So we don't have consistent training. We don't have consistent skills and background. This is something that we have been pushing for. Is we're saying, well, look, if there is going to be a register, can we at least make sure that these people are properly trained? Because we do have some local authorities where the behavior is so bad and their understanding of home education is so narrow, it has an impact on the community. We need to insist on more consistency, and that local authorities need to be looking to create an atmosphere of trust and mutual trust and respect with families. And this message needs to be gotten across.
Absolutely.
So that is another thing. Once again, if you're writing to your MP and they're saying, yes, but the bill is going to pass, and say, well, if it is going to pass, can we at least insist that the local authorities receive consistent training where home educators have input on that training? And we can highlight some of the issues with that. So this is yet again another thing you can use in your communication with your MP. You can raise this point. And then we have a Schools Week article, which I thought was rather interesting, which is, you know how they keep saying, oh, the voice of the child, the voice of the child. And I'm always saying, well, why aren't they asking children in school what their opinion is? And this is actually about that. So it was a pupil experience data. And guess what? It shows exactly what we thought it would. Almost a quarter of pupils say they never feel safe or only feel safe on some days. They only sometimes or never enjoy school. 90% of people say they never or rarely have someone at school who believes. Sad is this. Once again, fantastic article to share with your MP to show and highlight that the problem is not home educating families. The problem is that children don't feel safe. They don't feel that they can trust the adults that are caring for them, and so on. So here we go. A good article as well to use. We've given you so much material for if you want to contact your MP. You can choose one specific angle to take using one of these articles. If you haven't subscribed to the Substack yet, I just want to encourage you to do it so that you're reminded on Monday morning when the email lands in your inbox of these articles, and you can link to them with an email to your MP. Okay, great.
And that's quite an important paragraph that Kat stopped on there when we're thinking in the context of the bill and what we're going to move on to shortly. It's always struck me as strange that we understand the importance of well-being in the workplace and its impact on adults doing their best work. But wellness in children who are still learning to read, write, regulate emotions, communicate, and build confidence is often overlooked. Now, that paragraph in itself works well for the arguments for home education. It works well for the arguments for inclusion. It works well for the arguments for making sure that every child can have an education that meets their needs and is suitable to them. It works well for what a school should look like.
And
so
I like
it works well on a lot of levels, which unfortunately the bill doesn't achieve.
And the next paragraph says schools that center pupil experience are not lowering standards, are creating the conditions for real learning. And it's worth reminding them that this is actually about really learning, children learning in a way that's going to be valuable to them and give value to their lives. And as they keep going on and on about blah, 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 to reduce the barriers to opportunity. So, if they want them to learn and reduce barriers to opportunity, they need to create an environment in which children do feel safe and can learn. So this is an event that we are planning for the 10th of January. I don't know if you remember our marathon, which we had on the 6th of September, which was such a fun event to do. We were live. On that day, we were live for 12 hours. We're going to do another one on the 10th of January. It'll be a little different. We will be looking more at what are the solutions for the problems that supposedly exist. What we're going to talk about where we'd like to see home education going in this country, considering how, like, if this bill does pass, how can we work with that? How can we help to break down some of the narratives, and so that the bill does not end up being this heavy-handed, punishing kind of thing, that a tool that so we're going to look at quite a few things on that day. So please also put this is a week before the protest. It will be an event also, once again, that you can point MPs to if they want to understand home education and how we think and work. I will set up the event in the next few days, and then you can share that as widely as possible and plan to join us. It will probably be live streaming on YouTube and in the action group or the Alliance page perhaps, but something like that. So it will be public and you can share this. So 10th of January, we've made it a bit shorter, a bit more, and not quite such a long day, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's also a Saturday, so put that in your diaries once your year starts winding up again. Just something to look forward to on a dull January day. So plan to join us for that. And then I think this is our final item. Christmas cards. Some of you may have seen our promotion posts about sending your MP a Christmas card. These are some of our designs that we've created. We've kept the same theme. All I want for Christmas is, and it's some version of the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill being destroyed. But you may download these designs and use them, but you may also use us on your social media. We have them all in a Google folder, which is available for you to access. And you can, as I said, take these designs and use them, or send your MP an email. There's different things you can do with them. We've only got a few days till Christmas now, so get as creative as you want and let them know that we want to see this bill gone, either burned or torn up or cancelled. There's a number of designs you can choose. Get those out there on social media and use them as an opportunity to raise awareness once again. And I think there's that everything, Kat.
It is, but also just a reminder that e-cards exist, so you can
yes. So I sent my
send it to your MP, you can send it to your councillors.
Exactly. I did one of these on Moonpig, uploaded it onto Moonpig and sent it to my MP. So then you can get it to them pretty quickly. It gets sent quite quickly. So let's make their Christmas. Let's cheer them up with our happy thoughts of what could happen with the bill. Here's some instructions on what you can do, but they are there for you to use. So have some fun with that, or design your own. It's really up to you. So I think that's everything from us tonight. We won't be live again until, when did we decide?
Keep an eye on the action group. We'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, but it will probably be after the new year, because New Year falls right on Friday and everything. So it'll probably be after that. But keep an eye on the action group. We may, as we have in previous years, pause the action group for a few days over Christmas to give the admin team a well-deserved break as well, and just allow everyone to just have some days without thinking about this stuff. But other than that, there's enough actions in what we've discussed tonight to keep everyone going. We've got lots going on in the new year to get going right away, hit the ground running. So I really look forward to seeing some of you at the protest. I will be there. Help us make it the biggest protest ever for home education. And actually, as we said, not just home education. Send issues, school uniform issues, school fines issues, anything that's in the bill, they can come and protest. We'd love to see you there. So any last words, Michelle?
No, I think we've covered quite a lot today. And it's
been almost an hour. And have a wonderful Christmas. Have a lovely time with your families, and let's just be thankful for what we do have, because we can still home educate in this country. So let's be thankful for that. And that's all from us. Good night.